So SBI released another patch notes for the test server. This is Beyond the Veil patch 9th, and it's going to be available on May 30th. So there are a lot of combat balance changes, like small ones actually. Small changes to a lot of the skills that we all know and love. The rending spin and all of the axes is actually going to get significantly buffed, in my opinion. Rending spin is the second Q ability of the axe, of any axe. The most common in probably all of the builds is the third Q ability of the axes, because it's like much more significant, because you have the quick cast of the two and it just resets after a couple of seconds. And if you want to hold them where you are or root them, you have that third Q ability. But now rending spin may be used in a lot more PvP instances, maybe in 2v2s and the corrupted dungeons as well, because this is a pretty significant change from 45 to 65 base. And now 68 to 80 for damage against enemies 2.5 meters plus. They're also buffing the deadly chop on all of the axes still. Stand time is now halved to 0.35 seconds. Cast time is 0.4, and energy is now reduced to 8. So not a lot in terms of buffing the deadly chop, but it is technically a buff. Okay, so the fire staffs. In the fire staff, the blazing staff, the flame tornado is getting a buff. Now the dots tick after leaving the area, now from 3 to 5. It says here 3 times. Now it's going to be 5, and the cooldown is going to be 40 seconds instead of 45. The theme of this patch basically is like minor changes, really. Minor changes that may or may not significantly affect the current meta in pretty much all of the instances that we have in Albion Online. Wild staff for the nature staff, heal ticks from 6 to 5, and heal per tick is 55 now instead of 46. Again, tiny changes, small changes that might not affect the meta. Quarter staff though, the concussive combo. So this is the quarter staff. So the concussive combo, it is the combo where you can combine 2 abilities, like the first, second, and third, right? So they are increasing the damage of the first and second hit from base 75 to now 85, and the third hit, which stuns the enemy for 2.2 seconds, obviously based on specs, now deals more damage. The Heron Spear, this is actually very interesting because this is, I think, the second time the Heron Spear's damage was buffed. I remember probably patch number 7, I think, where Heron Spear was actually buffed. Currently, the Heron Spear is not really part of any meta, except for maybe one-shots that is very easy to counter, and in corrupted dungeons as well, can be used in small scale. But now, instead of having 186 as base damage, is now going to be 200 with the same 2.5 seconds stun. This is something that I'm actually very worried about, especially in Stalker corrupted dungeons, because the Fist of Avalon is known for like its quick hit and run. So they hit you with their E, you can't really counter or reflect their purifying combo because it purges before it damages. You can't really defend against the E. Now increases the jump speed, which is the E, the initial E of the War Gloves Fist of Avalon, from 14 meters per second to 16 meters per second. Not really a lot in terms of like buff, but we'll see. We may find a lot more Fist of Avalon in Stalker corrupted dungeons doing the same thing, just hit and run. For the helmets, the Purifying Smoke for the Helmet of Valor, hit delay from 0.5 to 0.4. Again, not really significant in terms of damage. The Purging Shield and the Mage Robe cooldown is now 40 seconds, and the Speedcaster reduced cooldown as well for the Scholar Robe from 40 seconds to 35 seconds. This is actually very interesting. So the Soldier Armor now stacks only up to 8, but they are actually increasing the damage increase per stack by 9% per stack, meaning maximum of 70 instead of, or 72 instead of just 70. And the CC duration increase per stack 4 to 5. So max stays unchanged, but you do get like 2% more damage, plus the cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds as well, similar to the Mage Robe and the Scholar Robe. If the Curse Staff, like the one-shot, the infamous one-shot Curse Staff with the Soldier Armor, I wonder if it actually will, or we will see more one-shot Curse Staffs, even with the nerf to its Vile Curse. Maybe. This is actually a pretty significant change, in my opinion. The Stalker Jacket no longer stacks. So the damage, even if there are 100 Stalker Jackets on top of you, you are effectively just going to deal or receive 1 damage from 1 electrical field, which is pretty significant because they can no longer stack electric fields on top of each other, which can be pretty annoying, especially like small scale fights. And the Mage Cowl, the once famous for every single build Mage Cowl. They changed the skill to Fire Breath a couple of patches ago and it slowly died. Now they are increasing the hitbox size closer to the caster, which I don't think is going to change that much. I think Mage Cowl is still going to be in the vault of Albion Online. Not a lot of changes there. For the shoes though, for the Swift Cut on Assassin shoes, they are making it faster. So Swift Cut usually is used, in my experience, in 2v2 Hellgates for daggers to make sure that they stick to their targets. Now it is much faster. Much faster than before. So I can see Swift Cut being used more often than it is right now, just because of that small change. Okay, this is another big change though. This is a big change for the Demon Boots. They are reworking the scaling. Now it increases the movement of the caster by 50% and damage by 10%. Now that is the base. Now for every 20% health missing, you gain additional 25% movement speed and 5% damage increase, and stacks up to 3 times. So if you're at 40%, you use this, you will have 125 more movement speed, and you'll have 25% more damage. And it now gets reduced. The cooldown is reduced by 60%, or from 60 to 40%. Now if we look at the Demon Boots right now, Demon Boots currently increases your movement speed only if you have less health. So for every 10% health missing, and it stacks up to 8 times, so meaning it maxes out at 20% health, you are going to receive 160% more movement speed and 34% more damage. Okay, but that is at 20% health. Now max at 40% health, meaning you'll have more health on you while you have more damage. They did reduce the overall max damage, so it's from 160% additional movement speed to 125 movement speed max, and the damage is now max 25%. Currently it is at 32%, but to compensate for that, they are actually decreasing the cooldown to 40 seconds. Although this may actually be significant, because even if you haven't lost any health, the base actually is at 50% movement speed and damage by 10%. That could be enough for you to chase down your opponents and deal more damage, but obviously you can max it out now at 40% health, so you don't need to wait for you to be below 20% to fully take advantage of the Demon Boots. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot of changes, honestly. Not a lot of changes to this, but expect this list to be updated. This was updated 6 hours ago. And if you're watching on YouTube, I will leave the link of this patch notes in the description below. But if you are on Twitch right now, type !NDA and you are going to get the link for this one. Yep, not a lot of changes, just minor ones. I don't see anything changing in the meta because of these change. Minor patch indeed.